I'm just, trying to find a place with like-minded people to talk about like-minded things about me, about poop and stuff.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's this right here? Is this a podcast about poop?
And now, Shooting the Shit with Dave and Ellen.
So we should start?
Yeah. So...
Hi, welcome to Shooting the Shit with...
Ellen.
And Dave.
This is episode 7.
Oh my god, it is. Wow.
Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7, but it's always number 2 to us. And we have a special guest as our theme for today's episode. The infamous, internationally famous burlesque star Chris Harder, who's also had a small career in porn, but you have since retired?
I guess, yeah. It's always weird. Like, I never like to say retired because it's like,
Yeah.
people are, like, you don't get a gold watch or anything. Or there's no... People are always like, what about your royalties? And I'm like, look, if I had royalties, I would not be living in a shotgun apartment in Queens. So, yeah, so technically I'm retired. I'm doing a tantric sex video workshop in a month and a half.
Okay.
But it's not, it's erotica. It's not
Right,
porn,
right.
I don't know.
You might dabble a little, but
Yeah.
you pretty much have.
I have. I've left. It's like a... What's that movie with Kevin Costner in the baseball field?
Oh,
Field of Dreams?
It's like I've left the field and I've turned into a doctor. Only that doesn't happen, but...
So
We'll
yeah,
get
we
into all
have.
that.
He's burlesque. He does one-man plays and more, and
Yeah.
and we have a lot of questions about his porn career because things like that and gay porn and number 2 probably happen.
It's a real thing. You gotta deal with it.
Yeah.
Before it deals with you.
Oh, exactly. No surprises on set.
Right.
Like, cut. No.
Right?
But
No,
like
really.
But with every episode, before we go into our theme, we're going to do our check-in.
Okay.
How have your poops been recently, Chris Harder?
I feel like I have to, like, softly knock on wood here because for this week they've been pretty regular.
Yay!
It's just like a once
Excellent.
a day morning thing. Yeah, it's been nice.
Would you like to describe it on the Bristol stool chart?
I feel like I'm somewhere. It's not really like the ideal number 4, the sausage. It's more of like a corn on the cob. But I prefer the corn on the cob more because I feel like those are the big solid ones.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not. I mean, I like to think I practice proper wiping as an adult and a homosexual, but. Sometimes any softer and you're there for a while.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
but the perfect number 4 actually just breaks off like an animal in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I call it the no push, no wipe.
Oh,
Meaning
okay.
like you
We
barely have to
shirts out of
push.
that.
I know.
Like, we used to make shirts or
It's like a
stickers that.
hashtag,
Yeah.
no push, no wipe.
No
It like
push, no
literally
wipe.
just falls out of you, and then when you wipe, there's nothing on the paper.
Yeah.
It's like magic.
Like a secret message your body sent you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, she has a lot of these no push, no wipes. Apparently.
Only since like the past 6-7 months because of all the antibiotics and stuff
right.
I've been on with my Lyme disease.
Yeah.
Before that, I was a train wreck. Like, I wish we started the podcast way before that so I could talk about how horrible my poops were. But because of all the supplements and turmeric and all this stuff that I'm
Yeah.
on, I have these beautiful textbook poopies.
You're that's like your superhero origin story. Like, you start taking these antibiotics. and
Right?
You've turned into, like, the Hulk of shitting.
Wait,
Or Spider-Man.
Like
I mean,
your superpower is taking a perfect
yeah, you're
shot,
like...
which is,
it took me 40 years to get to that point.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Will she use it for good or evil? We don't know.
Oh, it's always evil.
My God, it's so great.
So Dave, how's your poops been?
My pretty, run-of-the-mill. Nothing
Yeah.
like, nothing too, just normal.
too spicy.
good.
There's nothing. It's just been like the standard, like between a 3 and a 5 ranging, but like, pretty consistent.
That's
I
good.
go to like 2 times a day usually.
Wow.
I know.
I
Yeah.
used to. I remember
Well, sometimes
those
like when
days.
I was telling Chris when we first came in, I went for a run before this.
Oh, right.
And usually the runs get everything like,
Moving.
kind of like
We might... This
moving
might
and
be
shaking.
right. This might be jumping the gun, but do you ever like I remember I used to do cross country running in high school, and there were times, like, I lived out in the country, so I would practice, and I remember there were times where I was like, I gotta get home, or I'm gonna, like, shit in the ditch right now.
We talked about that in a bunch of other shows
have,
like
right?
earlier because it happens. Like I didn't think. My wife used to think like she's like, you should go see a doctor. That doesn't sound right. And then like I was talking to some friends of mine that are runners, and they were both saying like, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Because don't runners, like, sometimes shit themselves during marathons?
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
I love you never get those stories. It's always like a backstory of like they came from, like the plains of the Sahara and they're winning the marathon.
Yep.
I know I'm taking a kind of like a sidestep here from what we were just talking about the check-in, but it reminded me of a race I was doing on Central Park like maybe a year ago. I was with my friend at the start, and there was an elderly woman who, I don't know her name, but she shows up at all these races. She's been doing it forever, and she wears those kind of like, I don't know what you call them, not pantyhose, but they're sort of like tights, but they're nude color, I guess, for if you have white skin. And she wears like full on crazy old lady makeup. Anyway. The race hasn't even started yet, and I looked. She was near us. I'm like, oh my god, there she is! This famous, runner. And the race starts, and I look down, and I completely forgot to mention this in the last podcast. She has like already like shit herself, and it's just like, you can kind of see like it coming out the shorts, and the race the gun just went off. So there's initial like when the gun goes off, you're not really going anywhere. You're just kind of waiting for the next corral to move. So you're just sort of standing there. I was remember being like, okay, well that's I haven't seen that.
So like is it like, oh yeah, is it just so commonplace? You're like, oh yeah, number 42 just shit themselves.
Yeah, I think
I'm here for your buddy. Like,
I think in this particular case it was more like, you know what? Let's pretend it didn't happen.
Sure.
Like a very New York thing. Like I don't see anything.
That's crazy.
I mean, had it happened like during the race, I think people would be like, oh, you know what? That happens. Everybody. She's gonna finish the race. But the start, just like from the get-go. So anyway, sorry, a little sidestep there. But it's reminded me.
I love a good public pooping story.
Oh, yeah. And she was like, there was no look of shame. Right? No, she was just kind of like, whatever. Yeah, it happened. I got to deal with it.
At a certain point in your life, if you're like in your 70s and you're like, yeah, I'm at a marathon and yeah, I shit myself.
Yeah.
Did
not care.
40 more years.
Exactly.
Motherfucker.
I definitely, I think you get like a certain like, when you turn a certain age, you're just kind of like, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Right.
Like, so anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm glad that we talked about it all.
Oh my god, that thing cracks me up. So how were your
For
poops?
my check-in, my poops have been great recently. They've been mostly 4s with a little bit of 3s. Like I had a 3 today. I was very busy, and I actually had it at my storage unit, and I didn't want to go there. This is when I posted this picture. There's no place like home to poop, because I was literally posting that
I
pooping
just saw you
somewhere
post that
not
today.
at home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but when nature calls.
You gotta go.
One must answer.
I also posted on the Instagram page something that, okay, if other people poop in a public place, I was at a bar doing a photo shoot on Tuesday, and like I walk into the stall and it stinks like crazy. There's skid marks on the bottom of the toilet.
Ugh.
I'm like, okay, I can't, like, it happens to us all. Like, there's no brush to clean it up, but I'm like, I can't believe I have to go just pee in here. But I go to pee, and some savage individual takes the fresh toilet paper, and instead of putting it on the roll, which takes maybe 5 seconds, they just placed it on top of the old cardboard that was still on the roll. And that might be my biggest pet peeve. Like, you know how long that takes for you to change out the toilet paper roll? Maybe 5 seconds.
They're like, I got things to do.
But you're gonna sit there and pinch off a loaf and stink up the whole place, and you can't.
Awful.
Animals.
I thought you were going to say something like, and then I saw a turd inside the dispenser.
Oh my god, that would have even been. I thought you were going to say.
I was expecting like a bit like a.
Okay, my story sucks.
Initially, I thought you were going to say like he put it in the toilet. I thought it was something weird.
Right?
I was like, why would you? I mean, but that's still. It's more like it's just a little thorn in your side.
Yeah, it was just like, no, it's like, really, people, it literally takes 2 seconds. Like, that's what it looked like.
Oh, okay.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you
Ellen showed us a
fuckers.
picture of
It's on the
fresh roll.
Instagram.
Cartoon diagram.
Yeah.
But
a
it's
fresh roll
like,
atop the old, like, used up cardboard roll on the.
it literally, like, I even watched, I remember like 20 plus years ago, Oprah even talking about that because she does that.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I realized that it literally takes 5 seconds to change the toilet paper roll. I don't know why I'm that lazy. And I'm like, yeah, you're fucking Oprah. Maybe you pay people to do
Look,
that shit for you.
I mean, if you're that rich, you're probably like, I don't have time. So that's why she's so rich. She's like, I don't have time to put the toilet roll back on there. It's like,
no, but she even was like, it does take 5 seconds. Like, I'm embarrassed that I was
and you
like
know,
that.
she still doesn't. I'm sorry, she's still not doing it. She's like, I don't give a shit. I just
Right.
I just
She
said that
literally-
on my show. No one knows.
She's like, I'm Oprah. I do what I want.
Exactly. Yeah, I would.
Oprah, I pay to have someone wipe my ass.
Yeah,
Why would I
Pretty
put the
much.
toilet paper back.
that's like, you know, with benefits. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right? Oh my god. 3
like-
squares a day.
Yeah, you know, like, is there a 401k or I could buy it with that?
There's a place for everybody.
Yeah.
So good. Perfect. So we've checked in. Poops are good. I also, in the last episode, I talked about this slippery elm marshmallow roots stuff, and I brought Dave some, so he's going to
I'm gonna
experiment
check
with that.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah.
It looks like sawdust.
It does.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, but it did smell pretty good.
Yeah, it's like it makes
So-
a tea, and yeah, it tastes delicious. But it's been cleaning out the
Cool.
colon for me. So you'll have to tell me if it works for you.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I feel like as I'm getting older, like everything, like I don't feel like I have there's no food allergies or anything like that, but definitely like spicy food or like
Oh, yeah.
like fried food, which I don't eat too often, but like when I do, it just wreaks havoc on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been noticing, like, I drink a lot of tea, and then that just makes me, like, go all the time, too. It's kind of weird.
Well, I feel like the tea, because it's something about hot water, isn't it? I feel like hot water...
Maybe. I don't... I
that's
mean...
Not it's
Loosens?
not coffee either. If it's like
Oh,
more...
coffee makes me poop.
Oh, yeah, coffee too, but I feel like hot water is somehow better for...
Your insides?
I'm just going off of own experience.
I mean, I have no idea. We do no research on this podcast.
Right,
It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
But I mean, like, no, that sounds right. That sounds about right. I'd buy that.
So, Chris,
Yes.
you've told us, we know you're an international burlesque star. You've had dabbled in gay porn. And so we would just like to know some stuff about you. We could start with the easier questions.
Sure,
like,
bring them on.
What kind of brand of toilet paper do you like to use?
Anything that's quilted, I feel like every now and then I make a mistake and I buy the toilet paper on sale and it's never the good stuff, So, I mean, I feel like you have to treat your asshole like how do you have to treat it? I don't know. Wipe your hole with what you want to wipe your face with. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to wipe it with some
Okay.
construction paper.
You want to luxuriate.
Right? Yeah. I want it to soften. I want it to fluff. I don't want it to scrape the outer lining of my anus. You know what I mean?
You don't want sandpaper. you're saying.
No. And some people I guess are into the sandpaper, but
We personally are. We're
I like
into
Scott.
Scott.
I mean, it's weird. I mean,
Really? Sorry,
I grew up. No, it's okay. No.
I literally just clenched my asshole.
It's like the soft stuff. I just feel like I'm never. It's weird. Like I know what I get what you're saying. Like yes, you want something that's not irritating.
Right.
But I feel like I'm just never clean with that stuff. I mean, granted, now I should also preface by saying that we have a little bidet, a tushy.
I saw that.
So that's been a miracle. So really, at this point, I can use any kind of toilet paper. But I don't know. I've been using the Scott for so long, and it lasts so much longer.
Sure.
But
You get more bang for your buck.
You get more bang for your buck. And
Yeah, we don't judge people here
No,
with
of
what
course
kind of
not.
toilet. I just like to ask people what their preferences are.
I also try and always follow it up with a baby wipe. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, really, I guess I'm probably one of those people that are helping boil fish in the sea because of all the toilet paper and
Will you flush your
wipe.
baby wipe?
Well, I have been until recently. My landlord came. I'll just share this anyway. But
This is the place
Please,
to
yes.
share.
literally, my
Tell
landlord
us all.
opened the door and gave a plunger to me, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, Frank." And apparently, other people have been having plumbing issues. We haven't, but he's like, "Yeah, I don't know if it's, because there's more females in the building, and I was like, oh boy, this is dangerous territory. Or if someone's flushing baby wipes. I was like, yeah, who would flush baby wipes? That's criminal. Like making it.
Have you seen the ball of baby wipes in the sewer system?
It is.
No.
You can Google it.
The New York Times did a whole story about it. It happened in London as well.
Yeah.
I forgot what they call them, but they look like boulders.
Yeah.
It's
They're,
wreaking
like,
havoc
huge.
in all the pipes around the city.
Because they're literally just collecting.
Yeah, it's like a clot.
Yeah.
It's like literally a blood clot, but it's just baby wipes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was uneducated back in my day, and I flushed tampons, I flushed baby wipes, but then once I was educated to do so, I know it's gross to throw a shitty baby wipe in your trash can, but it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, and really, if you're taking care with the toilet paper beforehand, it shouldn't be too.
Yeah.
But
I now also have the Tushy, the bidet, and it's a game changer. I barely use baby wipes anymore.
I feel like to give people an accurate idea of where my bathroom is, I should almost post a photo, because my bathroom is so small, I don't know if I could fit a Tushy.
Well, that was Ellen's issue.
So...
She was having the same thing. She wasn't sure if that was going to be able to fit in her bathroom, but it did.
Honestly, I'll have to measure. Like, my bathroom is so abominably small that I have to measure whether or not the Tushy is going to clear.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
I mean, we have like the first generation one, and I think they've gotten a little slimmer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, as far as width-wise.
I have one friend who wanted the Tushy real bad, but her toilet is also way too close to the wall, but she found alternatives on Amazon that are like thinner.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It really, it's like so crazy, because now when I go anywhere else, I'm like, what the fuck is your bidet? It's just...
Right.
Like, I'm just so used to having it now
That's so funny.
it really. We were in Paris we were in France for 12 days. Every place we stayed at didn't have a bidet. I'm like, isn't the bidet a French
right?
I'm like, what? No one had it.
You animals.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
That was my only gripe about that trip.
French, great food, lousy bidets.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I keep baby wipes on me, and if I'm out and about and I have to poo and there's no bidet, I'm not going to dry wipe it. So
no.
Yeah, it's gross.
You gotta get in there with a wipe. Get in there with a wipe.
Yeah.
If you step on doggy doo-doo outside, you don't wipe it with dry paper. You want to like hose it off, you know? You want to get a twig in there.
Put some moisture in there.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to poke at it like...
Next to the baby wipes, I also keep a stack of freshly cut twigs.
Well, at least they're not corn cobs.
That's
we did
how
a whole
used to flush.
Yeah,
I mean,
back in the day.
Wipe. Before the invention of toilet paper, people would wipe with corn cobs.
Corn cobs, rope, shards of glass.
No, ceramic.
Ceramic, sorry.
Yeah.
Shards of...
You have to listen to episode 3 for all the details.
We did a whole history of toilet paper, and it was kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we used to be strictly much more animalistic than now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those poor people's assholes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank God. I mean, I don't believe in God, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm so
God
happy we live in this time, because could you imagine? I mean, that would suck so bad. You're like,
I'm down to 2 coffee.
I would never eat. I would never eat, because I'm like, I can't go to the bathroom. It's like, this is just awful.
If I have to jam another corn cob
Yeah.
in my ass and not get paid for it?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, people.
So another question, talking about, what's it called? You do use baby wipes. Is there anything else that you use to help your, like, I know you're gluten-free. Like, do you think that has helped your poops? Do you use poopery or matches or something?
Oh, I mean, yeah. Well, sorry. Okay,
No.
Yes, every now and then we have poopery in my apartment. I always have, like, some incense and a candle on hand. Again, because I feel like it was one thing when I was living by myself. I was like, well, whatever. You know, like, so... Who's going to smell except me, right? And if you blow up the Starbucks bathroom, then it's just like, you know, on the next person.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, now I have incense, because if you're trying to keep, you know, like the spirit, the sensual spirit alive in your apartment while you're also like, you know, shitting bricks every day, it's necessary
it's hard to keep that illusion sometimes when you're in a small place.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely have that. Diet-wise, I feel like lately, just in general, I've been trying to drink more water, which
That's
I
very
feel like
important.
helps. Because after, like, coffee is my go-to to help with the morning evacuation. But I feel like if you drink too much coffee, it just ends up constipating.
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's such a fickle lover, that coffee.
And I know how much you love
And
your
I
coffee.
love coffee. So I'm really trying to watch that. Yeah.
I mean, good. I don't drink coffee.
Really?
I just never got into the taste.
I'm so amazed when I meet New Yorkers who don't drink coffee because I feel like I'm a monster until I have a cup of
everyone
coffee
I
in the
know,
morning.
everyone I know is a big coffee drinker. My wife is like, it just, we don't.
But you drink lots of tea.
I drink lots of tea.
Is it? It's
Yeah.
it's like caffeinated tea.
I run the whole gamut.
Yeah.
Do you?
I'll do like, caffeine-free peppermint chamomile, but then I'll get like super dark black tea, green,
Yeah.
like super strong green
Yeah.
teas.
So you have caffeine. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
like you're
no,
anti-caffeine.
not at all. It's just more the flavor of. I mean, I love the smell of it. I love the whole culture of it.
Sure.
Like that, but it's just the actual taste is kind of.
I completely agree. I hate coffee. I like what it does to me. And I love the taste of tea better, but I think that the caffeine in coffee just helps me.
Yeah, like be alive,
Yes. Function.
right? I don't know. So I've got to have the coffee. That helps. But otherwise, I feel like I'm not I don't know. I'm not as big of a health nut as I used to be, but I try and watch my fiber. I don't know. I feel like I go in cycles. Like I have weeks and weeks of great poops, and then I have weeks where it's like the train feels like it's on a gravel road and on the track. And I gotta try something different. And I don't know. It just depends.
That's good. Yeah, I think diet has a lot to do with it. Water. You can get a Bristol 4 if you're drinking enough water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
okay.
literally show these Bristol stool charts to doctors, show it to patients if they're having doo-doo problems.
Oh.
So it's not like something I made up.
No. Oh, God,
It's
I know
scientific.
that. I would be really impressed, though, if you're
I was like, I made this
like,
chart
look
up.
at this look at this graphic
I'm just
design
imagining my
skills.
doctor coming in so what's your doo-doo look like?
Oh, man.
You're
Yeah.
like, I don't even need to see the chart. I know it by heart
yeah.
at this point. Talking about now you have a partner that you live with. Is your partner okay with poop talk? How is... We've noticed that there's a dynamic of one side of the couple being a little bit more open, me, and
Sure.
my partner Gerald not being open about talking about it. How does your partner fare?
I feel like overall we're pretty equal. Although sometimes, I don't know why, but sometimes he grosses me out more depending on when he... You know what I mean? Not with his bodily functions, but just with what he'll... Maybe it's the timing. I feel like I don't talk about poop when I'm eating, but he does sometimes, and that's where all of a sudden I retch. So
right.
right now I'm totally fine, but if I had a full plate of the buffet in front of me, it would be a different story.
There's a time and a place.
Yeah, there's a time and a place. I can laugh.
I get
about
that.
it. Yeah.
I mean, they say you don't shit where you eat for a reason.
Yeah, literally, you know. But otherwise he's pretty good. He can handle the poop jokes. I love poop jokes in general, and the more dad poop jokes the better.
Oh, they're great.
So yeah.
Well, I was thinking on the way over here that actually our first 3 guests are the ones that I started the Poops and Farts private page.
Right.
It's you, Matt, and Stormy. So I'm glad that you guys are my first 3 guests.
I know.
So
The trifecta.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well, it's a quadfecta. What is it? Because it's 4 of us.
Oh,
I started the. Oh, you mean
I just meant
the,
as far as
Yeah, because it was
the impetus
literally
for the
Right.
page and
Yeah.
creating the
Captain Planet, and we all put our rings together.
exactly
Turd appear.
form of a number 4 on the Bristol stool chart. Yeah.
Can we get into the more nitty gritty
Let's
questions?
get in the nitty gritty.
Well, maybe we do a quick background.
Sure.
When did you get into burlesque? And
Oh, sure.
just so
yeah.
a little bit of
Yeah.
context, and then we'll talk about.
So I've been in New York for 11 years. I got into burlesque about probably 9 years ago, and then I did that for about 3 or 4 years. I was working in nightlife as a go-go dancer. I kind of got into it through go-go dancing. So my ass was the vehicle through
Right.
which everything else, including my ass, opened up for me. So so I was doing that, and then after a while, I would say maybe 4 years ago, I got into the adult industry, and I did that for about 3 years.
Okay.
So that's the long and short of it. But yeah, Is that? Do you want?
Yeah, no,
do you want dates?
Oh no! I just wanted like it's more just like a quick background.
Yeah. So I've been doing that. Yeah, and now I because I'm a performer and I have to egotistically promote and stuff. But I write, and now writing is more my focus. But for a long time, my ass is what helped pay the bills. In
yeah, man, that's great.
Forms. So. Yeah.
And now talking about that, let's go right into it. Is there anything that you do to prepare for a scene, like enema, foods you stay away from?
Yeah, so someone once told me great bottoming doesn't depend on what you eat the day of, it's what you eat the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So
fair enough.
I feel like I remember actually reading this article, because like gay magazines and gay gossip sites are always like, how do you bottom and not shit everywhere? And it's like, well, okay, it's not that difficult, but
well, yeah, because we go throughout the day not shitting everywhere. Yeah.
But I remember reading this one guy's answers, and he was like, a week before I'd be getting. I was like, fuck no, I'm not getting paid enough. I'm not getting paid enough to like eat hard boiled eggs for like 4 days. But so I don't eat a lot of veggies like the day before. I don't If I was prepping for a porn scene, I would stop eating like around 9 or 10 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Which is not like super late either.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I guess I don't know. I've become more confident over the years, so I would also okay. I'll start over. Also, I'll just add that I had a cup of coffee, which is why I sound cracked out right now. And this is like cup number 6 today. So. Call is usually at like 10 in the morning, right? And the first 3 hours are paperwork anyway, and just waiting around for your partner to show up. And, because they're usually straight and late and fighting with their girlfriend or whatever. So by the time you roll around to sex, it's okay to have like had breakfast, and then you have more time to like, work on the business of cleaning it out. But I'm lost. What was it?
Enema.
Okay, so a lot of
rituals.
Yeah, right. So rituals. Right. So a lot of I think it's fascinating talking more about bottoming now because there's like it's like the crystal deodorant people, which I'm not making fun of you.
I don't use crystal. I use coconut oil.
Oh right. Okay. Well, sure.
You say I never stink.
You don't. You do. I will go on record saying Ellen never stinks.
I use natural deodorant, but I don't. Have you ever smelled my stink?
No.
Not for my armpits, maybe for my ass.
Right. I would say you're always a non-stinky person. A lot of, there's like this growing trend of bottoms who don't want to use enemas to clean out, whether it's for porn or for just like casual no-pay sex.
Right.
Which I feel like is like the pull-out method for pregnancy, where you're like, I guess this works if I don't really come in you.
Yeah.
But, the chances are there could be a baby or not. There could be a turd or not. So I'm a traditional bottom, like an old school bottom, OG, where I use the Fleet enema, but pro tip, you don't use the saline fluid in the enema, which is where I think a lot of people go wrong. You empty that out, you wash it out really good with warm water, and then you use like a warm water that you could like have your hand in and not feel like it's burning.
Right.
And I use that like 3 or 4 times to like clean myself out.
Okay.
And also, I would say, like, whether you're prepping for anal sex just with your partner or for a scene, I definitely give myself at least an hour to prepare because, sometimes when you start, like, interrupting the flow of things, it takes a while for the trickle down to happen,
Right.
So you want to make sure that, like, I wouldn't, like, use an enema and then go have sex right away. I'd, like, I'd suss out the situation.
Completely, yeah.
I'd make sure things were stable,
Yeah.
And then you can do like touch-ups. So for a scene, I'll like wake up early in the morning, I'll go exercise, I'll have a little breakfast, and then I will spend like a couple of hours like doing some hardcore clean out time with an enema. Some guys like to use, this is a funny story. I can't believe I'm telling this right now. Every so often,
I love it.
Every so often in this conversation, I've stopped and been like, "This will probably never come back to haunt me," but whatever. So there's also like there's like big like douche bags basically where you can fill up like a gallon-sized bag. And it's
I've done it.
Oh, you have? Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Not a gallon, but I've done 6 cups of coffee in my butt.
Whoa!
Wow.
I've never done
A coffee enema.
coffee
Oh
enema.
my god, it's amazing.
That sounds eye-opening.
Yeah. Brown eye opening.
Brown eye opening.
You're like,
So you can use these big. They're basically like a plastic bag, and you fill it with water and you suspend it and it has a long tube with like a fleet enema into it. So you insert that and you basically take in this large amount of water.
Yeah.
Which is what some guys like to do. That's like really if you're going to be fisting or like doing some like heavy toy play. You might want to do a super thorough cleaning. I think what I've read, and I'm not a total expert on this, but essentially like using an enema a couple of times gets rid of the immediate stuff in your colon and your small intestine, and then using more and more water starts getting into your...
It can go up deeper.
Yeah, and so that's why also you want to like, you know, give a little time in between the enema and the sex so that you make sure that the water hasn't gone too far and it's just going to like avalanche out on you, you know?
Oh my god!
Which I've heard. I've heard the worst horror story I've ever heard of on porn. Well, no, there's two. One of them is that this guy. It was two straight guys. Bless their hearts. And one just kept using enema after enema, but he didn't realize that like you had to evacuate it. He just like So by the time I guess they had to like cancel the shoot. Like it was like such a crime scene. Like. That like they just had like
they didn't bring in FEMA.
Everyone had to walk away. You know what I mean? Just had to walk away, like check out of the hotel room, run to the car, and go. The other one that I've heard, which is really funny, and I can't. I mean, this is a big generalization, but I've
How could
heard.
he hold all that in?
I don't know. Also, I don't know.
It's a competition. It's like, dude, I can hold way more than you can.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
No, you can't.
I got 10 enemas in me. What do I do now?
Yeah.
So apparently my friend told me that he was filming a scene in Europe, and I don't know if this is true or not. All the European men I've ever been with have always been, you know, very hygienic, both on and off set. But apparently some, supposedly like the bottoming ethics aren't the same sometimes. And so this one performer hadn't cleaned out at all, and apparently he also just like shit the bed everywhere in this hotel room. And it was in Europe, so there weren't like this crew was like trying to wash the sheets in the bathtub and then like air dry them. And,
oh my god.
I mean, I wasn't there, but I can just imagine that it was a horrible mind-searing
I can imagine it's probably happened. I mean, not like all the time, but stuff like this must happen like a lot.
So you know, back to like, if like bottoming tips, I would say, you know, the day before, don't eat a lot of, you know, veggies, try and keep the fiber. Yeah, it's actually kind of anti-intuitive or counterintuitive. Like, you don't want to stock up on lots of fiber per se, because sometimes like vegetables take like longer to digest.
Yeah, completely.
You know. So I try and just do a lot of protein, you know. I keep it simple: protein and rice, protein and simple carbs.
Okay.
And then, you know, the day of, I prefer the fleet enema. You know, I also know there's a new pill called Pure.
What?
Which supposedly, I'm forgetting all these stories, you guys. So there's a pill called Pure, which is supposed to be like a bowel suppressant, like it helps evacuate you, but then it puts a temporary plug like on your colon, and it's like,
this is something we really have to look up.
Right?
Like, I'm so
I'll send you the info. But I remember now, for a while I was doing this too. I mean, because, you know, like, honestly, when you're in gay porn or any porn, you just want the shoot to go fast, right? Like, you don't want there to be hang-ups, because there's already going to be a light that needs to be fixed, and the guy who's topping is already going to lose his erection partway through. So, like, for God's sakes, please don't let there be shit on top of all the other shit you have to deal with. So some guys will take Imodium. So you try and like have a movement before you go to bed. You take Imodium. You wake up. You might have one more movement. You take an Imodium, and it effectively constipates you. And I remember doing a scene once with a guy who literally would take breaks to chug Pepto-Bismol. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I don't really like cleaning out, so I just keep eating, but then I drink Pepto-Bismol. And I'm
That's so bad
I am
for you.
so glad I'm not fucking you today.
Yeah, that sounds really That's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there will still be a bear in the cave.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It will want to get out.
And that bear, when that bear wakes up, I've heard bears are very angry when
Yeah.
they wake up.
Yeah.
So,
You poke that bear.
I'm just imagining like just the plug, like there's like a timer set to it, and just like a movie to like, we've only got
We've got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Kayla, please
Yeah.
get an erection now.
Do we cut the red wire or the like? Just we can't. You know, that's wow, you're playing with fire there if you're Imodium drinking.
Right?
And so have you personally seen any crazy accidents on set?
No, nothing crazy. And the thing is, like, I feel like, especially some gay men get really hostile towards others about it. Like, the fact of the matter is, like, it's butts, you know?
Yeah,
like, you do your best, you hope for the best,
Yeah.
but sometimes accidents happen,
Yeah.
you know? There was actually, just recently, this porn star posted a photo on Twitter of a dirty condom, which, as you're scrolling, is already disgusting. But then he, like, did some shame rant about how the bottom he was, having sex with was unclean. But then all these other gay men were, like, replying to him, being like, "You're a shameful homosexual. Like, how dare you try and shame someone?" So I thought that was really great.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of life. And it's funny to me, whenever I've been on set and I know that the director is uncomfortable about poop, all I do is make poop jokes. Like, all day. And I will also add really quickly, like, for some reason, there's always a lunch break on a fucking gay porn set, which is infuriating when you're the bottom, because everyone's always like, "Hey, you want this burrito?" And you're like, "No, unless you'd like me to shit it all over
Yeah.
this, like,
Unless you want to see
dental
that.
office that
Yeah.
we're filming in." Or, you
Yeah,
know
exactly.
what I mean? Unless you have insurance on the Ramada Inn suite
Yeah.
that we're filming in. So,
But also, like, farts can happen.
Yeah.
Like with
Yeah.
a bean burrito.
I mean, it's like I said,
Yeah.
you're dealing with the butt. I mean, there's all kinds of like
Right.
stuff that can happen down there.
Yeah,
So it's
it
not
is.
like it's a,
yeah, it's not cut and dry,
Yeah.
So with that, no, I've never seen any crazy accidents. I count myself very lucky to not have seen that. But at the end of the day, I feel like if it happens, then you just gotta try and be a human.
Also, it's like you're professionals being paid to do a job,
Right.
and it's just like you can't sit there and get all like school children. I mean, it's just like you know what I
Yeah.
mean. It's like it's something that
Well,
it happens. You just have to sort of stop and figure out what to do next, and then just move on.
You would think that, David, but I feel like most of my gay porn career was spent being an adult babysitter to other adult men. So ideally they should be adults, but they're not always.
Right.
Yes. And so then after a scene is done, is there anything that you do to clean out?
Cry.
Like, cry! Oh! And we're done.
I use the tears, my tears to.
No, that's awful.
No. Well, generally, and again, this whether it's on set or not, like depending on the kind of lube you use, sometimes you end up kind of like queefing that back up. So I'm always kind of like prepared for that to happen. Like I don't, like go out like wander through a mall or anything. You know what I mean? I say that actually because that did happen to me once, where I was like, I think we did a scene, and then people were like, "Let's go to the mall" or something. And I was like, "Well, I still have another day before I have to fly home, so what the fuck?" And I was like walking through, and all of a sudden I was like, "I need to find a restroom now." Like my body is like doing some kind of a horrible retribution. This is God raining down on me. I need a bathroom, because your body just involuntarily kind of like tries to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like the only bonus of using water-based lube. But I feel like if you're a bottom using water-based lube, you're some kind of like wonderful twisted masochist that just loves to have your hole wrecked. So, more power to you, friends.
Yeah, I would think some other lubes, like I've used coconut oil back there and stuff, but some of them could also be diuretics. Like,
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
they could loosen things.
Yeah. So, and also, so no, I mean, I don't necessarily. I kind of let nature take its course, and I try to just, like, be gentle with myself.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always say the best meal is the first meal you get to eat after a porn scene. So I try and have a nice
You're like,
meal.
now I'll take that burrito.
Now I'll take that burrito, you fucking PA.
Oh, that is so funny.
Have you ever seen things like bidets on set or?
No. I feel like it's funny you say that. Well, no, because again, like, you know, some directors are so there's always like a bathroom situation. Although one time I did a scene in an abandoned cotton gin, and there were no bathrooms around, so
Whoa.
you really had to prep ahead of time.
Wait, what was the name of that film?
That was it was like the first one I did. It was in Manchester, right outside of Manchester, England, and we were like, I remember. Oh, it's all coming back to me like a horrible dream. I had to like.
Sorry.
At a gym, and then we drove for like miles. And again, the whole time you're thinking like, I got 4 hours. Like the clock's already ticking, maybe 3.5 now. Like, we need to start the scene now. So no, I've never seen a bidet on set. Usually it's like the hotel bathroom or the studio bathroom, which is, you know, usually clean. Yeah.
And have you ever done like a 69 on set and farted on somebody's face, or vice versa?
I feel like I've probably farted during like me time sex, but maybe not. I don't think I've ever done it during work sex. You know, and again, it's not a big deal if it happens.
Yeah. I'm just
no.
curious because it is a podcast about booze and farts and.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like with if you get a lot of air up there, sometimes it does start happening.
Oh yeah, I would think because you're pushing the air in.
Yeah.
Chris is a true pro, Ellen.
Yeah.
Right? I know.
He's a true professional.
That is actually one of your questions.
I know. I just wanted to throw that in there.
No,
But yes, that was one of my questions.
if someone farts on set.
Yeah, I just think that's... I don't know. Something about that just cracks me up. Like,
yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. This also kind of grossed me out a little bit. But there's a porn star I follow on Twitter. I don't want to say his name, but he posts like several farting videos, and I feel like that must be a thing. It is.
There's
a thing,
a fetish.
You know?
oh yeah, that's that leads perfectly into the other question. Is like, is that like in gay porn? Is that like a big thing, like a fart fetish, or is it like just?
I feel like it's funny because now with porn there's like mainstream. I'm using air quotes right here, listeners. Mainstream porn, and then there's also my fans only. There's clips and more fetishy stuff. Mm-hmm. I would say in mainstream porn, no. Like the biggest comeback is like feet. You know what I mean? Like there's always a shot where they're like, make sure you get his feet into that doggy style position shot.
Oh my god!
Because foot fetishists are really where the money is at.
Yeah.
You know?
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, there's that one website, Clips for Sale, and you can literally put up your own clips, and there's so much different kinds of foot fetish stuff. It's
I hate feet so much. That's like my worst. That'd be my
I
worst
hate
nightmare.
my feet. Yeah, I once got told on a kink.com set that I had horrible feet. Which, P.S. If you're on a kink set and someone's like, your feet are ugly, you know your feet are fucked.
You're never gonna make it in this business,
Right?
kid.
And within burlesque, has there ever been you farting on stage or anything that is fart like?
Oh, I read that question and I started laughing because I used to fart all the time when I was a go-go dancer because you're always higher up. And they're like, so my tactic, because also I was in a bulking phase then, so like I was always eating, right? So you get done with a go-go set, I would just go to the locker room or the changing area and eat like 2 fucking chicken breasts, which is like fart city. So I would always look for the go-go box that was like by a vent. Or the air conditioning system. And I would always station myself there right away. So yeah, I used to fart all the time as a go-go dancer. On stage,
I love that.
I feel like usually on stage for a burlesque number, it's kind of like the same thing when people are like, well, do you get turned on? And like, rarely, because I'm just thinking about the performance, and I feel like my body is so geared towards that that I might fart right after or like pre-fart, but never like during the performance.
Right.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah.
Well, like I sometimes on shoots because of anxiety, I get gassy. Like actually the other day when I was shooting these burlesque performers, I went to show one of them the picture I did, and I didn't even know I had to fart, but a fart just snuck out. But it was like a.
Oh my god.
It was like
so funny.
It was like a loud, and I turned to Lillian. Do you know Lillian?
Really?
She does Company XIV.
Yeah.
Thank God she's Australian. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I just farted. And she started laughing hysterically. She's like, you're so funny. And I was like, well, it sneaked out.
It sneaked out. Sometimes they do. Yeah, I definitely.
Squeaker.
I get an anxiety farts, definitely. But yeah, luckily never. I mean, again, it won't be the end of the world. Because the great thing is when you fart on stage, if the DJ is doing his job, no one hears you.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
castmates are just screwed. I will say though, so I work at the Slip Room, which a lot of performers, well, some people that have been on this podcast have, and anyway, so there's in our dressing room, which is a sad excuse of a closet. There is a toilet, and there's no, like for some reason I can never pee around like in a men's bathroom, but I have taken a piss in front of like countless friends who are just naked talking to me about like, their chia diet or whatever for the day. And apparently someone, I guess, once did take a shit back there. And it's just kind of like an unspoken rule.
Yeah.
Like, you just pee in that toilet,
Number one.
Number one. And if you have to poop that bad, then don't come to work. But apparently someone did. And just the idea of, like, 4 people crammed into this space being trapped while someone is shitting and someone else is simultaneously, like, doing a glove tease to night
That is
train
the worst.
just
like,
kills me, but it's so funny as long as I'm not there.
I would be so angry if that happened. I used to work for this company, and we had a very small bathroom. The men's bathroom was like tiny. It had like, I think it had 2 stalls. And we'd have like these guys that would come visit the office from a different location, and you're in there doing your thing.
Yeah.
And then there was an unwritten rule. It's like, hey, if someone's in here taking a shit, you don't use the second. It's just too close for quarters.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
So that was kind of the whole sort of unwritten rule. So these guys would come in, and I totally remember I was in there, and this one executive came in, and I hear the other door open, and I'm like, this motherfucker is not taking a shit. And he did. I mean, granted, I would have loved, I almost, when I was actually in the stall, I almost said like, hey man, no, you gotta wait. Like, but I didn't, I wanted to so badly, but I mean, it was just like, I couldn't, like I was so upset by that moment, and I kept thinking, I'm like, man, you see how close this is? What are you doing?
Right, yeah.
I'm like, I know you gotta go, but like, I'm almost, like, I don't know, it was just really like,
You're like, I'm in the final phase right now.
and I get how crazy that sounds. Like, he's not going to know that. But, I mean, it's just like, when you're in those tight quarters, you're kind of like, just have a little, like, respect.
Yeah.
I find that men are such pigs in public restrooms. It's like,
it's
it's
horrible.
like the first thing they can do when they get in is just fart really loud. Which, I look at their body functions, but I'm always just kind of, like, surprised. Like, I work at this, I won't say where I work, but... There's like a public restroom and there's a handicap restroom, and I always try to use the handicap restroom if I can, keeping my eye out to make sure that there are no people who may need it more than me. But anyway, so it's like as soon as I walk into this restroom, like all of a sudden it's like a fucking symphony of like, like it's just as loud as possible.
I get so shy with that. I'm just kind of. I try to make it sound like like I'm in there. I try to make it as quiet as possible.
Yeah.
But then it's the guy next to you is just kind of like whatever, man.
Right. I'm a foul talking, bottoming, gay ex-adult film star with no gold watch. But if I have to fart in a public restroom, I will do my best to like.
Yeah, I'm mortified.
As possible. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been really farty this past week.
Well, that's just recorded part of it.
Well, hello.
Hello, world.
So we are going to start reading the news now. And the story we have for you today is Wichita, Kansas. A report of a bomb threat at a Home Depot store in Kansas turned out to be a big misunderstanding. A person called 911. They overheard a threat in the store's restroom. To quote, "We just had a customer here that may have had a bomb threat," the caller said. Somebody, I'm sorry, this is really funny. He said, somebody told me there's a bomb in here. And you need to leave the building. He said it 3 times. The police did some investigating and learned the bomb threat came from a man in the bathroom stall warning others about the severity of his need to use the restroom. So basically, he just took a giant shit.
Yeah.
And someone completely...
I kind of, that just reminds me of my dad, which, like, in a lovable way, like,
like those guys in the bathrooms are just like, whoa, gonna be a big one today, fellas.
Totally. That's like every
You know?
person I went to high school with, I feel like.
Yeah.
Have to announce it. I mean, I personally, every time I go into Home Depot, I have to take a shit. It's like
the fear of remodeling.
Yeah, there's something about like home improvement.
Yeah, it's like, oh god.
I like beeline straight to the bathroom as soon as I walk in there, even before I get a shopping cart.
I guess it's good for New Yorkers to know this because I always forget about like the free restrooms. You know, like Bed Bath and Beyond, big bonus.
Bed Bath and Beyond has the best,
right?
Yes,
So Starbucks and
Great
Home
facilities.
Depot.
Yeah.
But Home Depot, like that's a. And it's like every time you go into a Home Depot, right?
Yeah, almost like 4 out of 5 times a year. I have
going
to take
a
it
lot
down.
to the Home
I
Depot?
guess I am going a lot more than I'd like to. I'm gonna get my Christmas tree there and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have dropped my own bombs in the Home Depot bathroom, but thankfully nobody has ever called 911 on me.
Yeah, no, I mean, this person actually, again, the person that was taking the really offensive shit had also said, quote, "You all need to get out of here because I'm fixing to blow it up." I just love how someone got so freaked out they had to call the cops, the bomb squad, about that.
But in Kansas,
Yeah,
like
Kansas,
Yeah.
of all places, in a bathroom.
These are the times we live in, you know?
Pretty much.
You just can't, you have to take everybody at their word no matter what.
People are silly.
the news.
But yeah, that's what we have for you guys today.
And so, Chris, do you want to say where your social medias are for people to follow you?
Yeah, so you can follow me at Harder Burlesque on Instagram and Twitter, and Chris Harder on Facebook.
That's the best. Do you want to leave us with any last wisdom?
Yes, you know, this it reminds me, speaking on the topics of bottoming and intimacy with a lover, my great friend Janessa J. Champagne of Grand Forks, North Dakota once told me, if you're going to travel down the dirt road, you're going to get some mud on your boots. So
good.
Be brave, friends.
Very apropos.
Brilliant.
But thanks for being on the show.
Oh, my
thank you.
pleasure.
It's amazing.
I feel so much better and even more empty. I've emptied it out. Right here in front of you.
Verbally and physically.
I love that. All right, well, until next time, guys.
It's been a real gas. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Shooting the Shit with Dave and Ellen. Please rate and review us. That helps a lot. Also, you can email us to our dumping ground at stspod2@gmail. That's STS as in shooting the shit pod and 2, the number 2. If you have any stories, products you want us to review, anything you think that could help us with our podcast. Also,
follow us on Instagram. We are at STS Podcast 2 on Instagram. Shooting the Shit Podcast, the number 2. Theme song for Shooting the Shit was produced by Jordan Perlson, the amazing, talented man behind the funniest, most catchiest song you've ever heard.
I love it.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
I'm just, trying to find a place with like-minded people to talk about like-minded things about me, about poop and stuff.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's this right here? Is this a podcast about poop?